Hello again, and welcome back to Selling at the Bar with Ray. Last time you were here, we were talking about selling yourself. Because remember, this is all about selling. But a lot of people in this industry think it's all about selling the product. Well, we've got to get away from that. We've got to get away from that. Before we go anywhere near our product, we have to get used to selling ourselves. Once we've got over that, and we've got this rapport, this relationship, if you like, you're not going to be best friends, but you can go as far as you can to make it that way on even your first meeting. So we talked about that in the last video. This time, what we're going to talk about is what a lot of people think is the boring bit: selling the company. Now, your company has given you a job to start with. They've trusted you to bring about the future of their company, because remember, you're in the industry. And a man once told me, a very important man in a company that I work for, that nothing, Ray, he said, nothing happens in business anywhere in the world until someone somewhere sells something. But we've overcome the first step because you have now sold yourself. But the next step is that they've got to put trust in the company that you work for. Now, a lot of people think this is the boring bit because you've got to go through something that maybe you might not even be that interested in. But what you've got to get over to them is why your company is extremely important. Now, they've invited you along, whether it be Mr. and Mrs. Jones in their own living room that you're going to sell some home improvements to, some life insurance, a pension, something of that nature, or it is a business executive who's invited you along because your product sounds sort of interesting to him. They put the trust in you first of all because you've got this far. So now what you need to do is to sell that company. Now, has your company got a good reputation? If it's got a bad reputation, why are you even there? At the end of the day, you choose your career. Your career doesn't choose you. So you choose your career and you choose where you want to work. You don't just accept any old job because it's a job. When you're in sales, you need to have a company behind you that fulfills its promises. So, as again, I'll say, if your company's got a bad reputation, if your company's product is not very good, why are you there? Move on. Get one that's got a good reputation and it's got a good product that you can sell. But we'll move on to that. That will be coming in the next video. The first thing you need to do is to sell the company. Now, you can do it by doing this. Sell it, and sell it again. Sell the backside out of that company because they've got to put trust in that company. They are going to invest in you today thousands and thousands of pounds, or maybe even millions of pounds if we're talking about business to business. So, to start with, I'm proud to work for ABC Company because I've come to know that I can come to your house, your office today, and I can have confidence because I know that the service that I'm talking to you about today, the product I'm going to be talking to you about today, is produced by the leading company in its area. And let me explain why. Now, there's an old adage, not just in sales, but in everything. And that is, you must prepare. Poor preparation leads to a poor performance. If you don't prepare, you prepare to fail. So, one thing that you must do is do your research into your company. Know your company better than you know your mother. That's what you've got to do. Know that company, because when they're going to ask you questions, well, what about this? You need to know the answers to that. Don't have the answers to all of them. When they ask you a question that you're a little bit vague on, don't give them what the first thing that comes off the top of your head. They'll find you out and you've blown the deal. So you've got to know them so that you can say to them, right, this company provides this service because, and then give them evidence of that. Give them evidence of their performance. Give them evidence of how they look after you in after sales service too. For example, if you're selling some replacement windows, for example, in someone's home, and you can tell them, look, third-party stories. Remember, they don't always have to be that true, but don't exaggerate the life out of them. Maybe it's a service that is provided there, but you don't actually know of Mr. and Mrs. whoever who use that service, but it's there. So a third-party story to say, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, one day, when the weather was really, really bad, a tree came down in their back garden and it put through their window in the back of their house. It was a dreadful situation. But my company has a helpline, and all they needed to do is picked up that phone, and within 2 hours, someone was there replacing that unit in their what it happened to be in their back kitchen. Now that's the sort of company and that's the sort of service that you want, isn't it, Mr. and Mrs. Yes, pre-closing as we're going down. We're going to do a whole video on this, on pre-closing, because it's really important that you get agreement from them as you're going along. When you say to them, that's the sort of company that you want doing your job for you, isn't it? Isn't it? Pre-close them all the way down, get Mr. and Mrs. Jones, or get Sir Ronald, whoever he is, the chairman of the company, to say, yes, Ray, that's the sort of company. Get an agreement from them. If you're going to get yes, Ray, yes, Ray, yes, Ray, all the way through your presentation, what's going to happen then? When you say, so, can we do business? Yes, Ray. It's a subconscious thing. It's the only time I ever go into all this psychology and things, because you do the basics right when you're selling and you get the job right. Never mind all this fancy nonsense. You just go in there, you make a friend of your client. First off, sell yourself. Then what you've got to do, sell your company. Get them to agree that your company is the one that they would like to do the job for them whenever they want it done. But then you permanently close them when you offer them the deal of a lifetime, of course. Always give examples of things that, examples of where your company is as regards to position in the marketplace. Whether you're a life assurance company, whether you're an investment company, whether you're a home improvement company, always let them know where your company is. Where your company is. If for example you're selling pensions, give them evidence, physical evidence of where your company is, the performance of your company. If their managed fund, for example, last year turned in 35, 40, 50%, show them. Have it there, look at that. That's the sort of performance you would like, isn't it, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, on your pension? Yes, of course it is. So when you get to the end of your selling of the company, you want again to say, now this is the company you want looking after your pension, isn't it, Mr. Jones? This is the sort of company you want looking after your future, isn't it, Mr. and Mrs. Jones? This is the sort of company that you want looking after your interests when something, or maybe, hopefully not, but if something tragic happens in your household. You want a company like mine to look after you, don't you? Yes. Then what you've got is when you get to the end and you're doing your final closing, they can't come back to you and say, I'm not sure about the company though, Ray. Mr. and Mrs. Jones, we spoke about this an hour or so ago. Sir Arnold, we spoke about this an hour ago. You said to me that mine was the company that you would like to have doing the job. Now, didn't you? What has changed? Because you don't hold them down onto that. You don't put them in a folding body press, if we've got any old wrestling fans out there. What we do though, is we ask where the problem may be. Because if they've suddenly gone back on it again, what is it, Mrs. Jones, that makes you say that you're not really sure of the company? What is it? And they will tell you. They will tell you because you sold yourself and you become their friend, if you've done it right. Now, with this, What I wanted to do was to give you an overview of what you should do about selling the company. But the one thing I will insist that you do is know your company. I mentioned it before, but it is absolutely crucial that you can quote figures. You can tell them how many, for instance, how many installation staff that they've got. If you're a replacement window company, you need to know all about your, if it's life insurance and pensions and things, you need to have the information in front of you that you can give to them. It's always good when you can do that. I worked many years ago for a small life insurance company, and it was difficult at first, but I was learning. But then we were bought out. We still kept our name, but we were bought out by a huge company called The Refuge, who since now have been bought out again by somebody even bigger. But it was a name that they knew. So we were just a subsidiary of The Refuge. And that sold more pensions for me and more savings plans for me than anything else, I think. So knowing your company inside out, the people that work there, the people at the top, is absolutely crucial. So I hope you got something out of this today. I've talked so much today, I even forgot to have a little sip of my brandy. But there we go.